Fantastic. How's it going, guys?
It's going good.
Episode 2 of our return.
Officially episode 108.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like we can still kind of use the return.
Well, it's like saying like Doctor Who, like episode whatever, but then there's Doctor Who the reboot series episode, like whatever.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I like that. Ooh. So are we in the second Doctor, or?
We're still in the early parts where the Eccleston, the effects are way, way cheaper.
Well,
Yeah,
we haven't regenerated yet. That'd be great if we said we were regenerating and we just get a whole new group of people to record for us.
That would kind of be funny.
With AI, we probably could.
No, here's what happens. We regenerate into each other. So Jeff has to start doing the research now.
Wait,
Yep.
As long as it's not me.
I was more thinking like we just only just like redubbed over us.
That'd be funny.
It's like it'd be like it's like ADRs for podcasting.
Jeff's a voice actor. How about we just have him do the... Or Jeff does really good voices. He's
I was
not a
gonna
voice
say
actor. He does
That's
really
supposed to be
good
acting.
voices, so let's make him do it. Like Kronk, you now have to be at the you have to be on the podcast.
Kronk could be just go, oh yeah, it's coming all together.
It's all coming together.
Henry Tudor.
Thanks to all our listeners for the very excited response to our first episode back.
Yep, and I hope you're patient enough to wait for a whole nother month to hear from us again.
Hey, we told them it would be a month.
Yeah.
It's still difficult to get the time to put this together. There'll be nights where we're like, we can record tonight, and then our kids will drive us nuts, and I'm like, I can't do anything tonight. I just need to go to sleep. So, thanks for the patience. Happy. And I will say, all of the patience does pay off because I had enough time to rewatch. I don't remember if I had finished rewatching The Tudors.
I think you're still going through.
Okay, so I finished The Tudors, started and finished Spanish Princess, started and finished White Queen, started and finished White Princess. So...
You just gotta collect them all.
Oh my god, you guys, I forgot how about it. So I never finished, I had started the Spanish Princess, which is about Catherine of Aragon.
Spanish Princess.
I never finished it, and I remember why. So I actually wrote notes in my phone to keep track of the ridiculousness of that show. So
Okay, give us some of those notes.
Okay, it's not extensive, but okay, here's one thing that really fucking pissed me off. Okay, so in the Spanish Princess, Catherine of Aragon is sent to England in real life too. She's betrothed to Arthur, Prince of Wales, she's betrothed to Arthur, Prince of Wales as a child, and she's sent over to England, still as a child, and they get married. He dies real quick. She wants to marry Henry VIII, and the twist on the show, which is based on a Philippa Gregory book, so the twist is that Catherine of Aragon did actually sleep with Arthur, her first husband, but he was like, you will be a great queen and you will make our England like the next Camelot, so you have to marry my brother. And she was like, yes, it's my destiny, so it's totally fine if I swear to God that I didn't sleep with him, but I totally slept with him. So, in the show, Margaret Beaufort, Henry VII's mother, is like this almost Machiavellian villainess. She's the one who's like, no, we can't let that Spanish whore be the queen. She's too headstrong, which is ironic coming from her. But what I wrote in my notes, I was really pissed that the women were made into villains when it was really the machinations of Henry and Catherine's father, Ferdinand, that left her destitute. But they needed somebody to be a villain who was apparently a woman. So they put that on Margaret Beaufort, who... Look, she was a politician, so she probably had some shit up her sleeves. We know she was capable of plotting. But my God, pinning everything on her and making Henry VII this, oh, yes, I love you, darling. You're like, I'll take care of you. By the way, let's get married. Just kidding. You can now marry my son. Just kidding. You can't marry my son. He's just like a fool who bumbled into the throne. Fucking hated it, guys. Drove me nuts. Really bothered me. So that's one. Two, there's a scene in, I don't even fucking know which season. There's a scene in either season 1 or 2 where Catherine of Aragon is like, she's like 20 something. And she meets a little Anne Boleyn, like a tiny little 8-year-old Anne Boleyn.
Little Annie?
Little Annie. My note just says hard eye roll. It was like I'm sure that paths were crossed at some point, but they did so much to make it like obvious. They're like, oh, wink,
Very
wink.
heavy-handed.
Look at
Yeah.
this. It was obnoxious.
It's like watching any movie today that's like a legacy sequel or like a prequel to something that's important, where they like really heavy hand a reference to a previous movie of any kind.
You're like just expecting them to look at the camera.
I think like a Marvel or a Star Wars
Yeah.
movie where it's
Yes.
like, hey,
Yeah.
you know this guy? You know this guy?
Yes, it's painful. And then, okay, so Catherine of Aragon, her mother, Isabella of Castile, was a warrior queen. She was called the Warrior Queen. And she definitely was a badass, but it was annoying how much they showed that in The Spanish Princess. To the point where Catherine of Aragon had a fucking dream about her mother showing up in full-ass armor. But I haven't gotten to the best part. In real life, Catherine of Aragon, Henry VIII went off to France to try and do heroic shit. And Catherine was left as regent, and so James of Scotland was like, this is a perfect time to invade England. So Catherine gathered up an army and went and fought, and I believe it's called the Battle of Flodden. Killed King James, badass, not herself. She wasn't in the battle. She was like at the camp.
She was there witnessing.
She was there witnessing. She was encouraging. She was like, I am the regent, which makes me basically king of England.
It's
so
like the famous image
fight for your
of
king.
Elizabeth I when she wears her armor or whatever, and she's at the battle, but she doesn't actually out there sword drawn and ready to murder someone.
Yes, and in real life, Catherine of Aragon was pregnant. Okay, really cool and badass. In the show, they decided to make it more badass by having her massively pregnant and wearing full-on maternity armor.
This sounds familiar, or at least looks familiar to me. Like, I swear I've seen an image of...
The poster for season 2
yes.
is her with a bump, and she's completely covered in gold armor, which gold is fucking soft. You would not actually have gold armor. Maybe you'd plate it in gold, but like, if you're going to go fight in gold armor, you may as well just put a leather jerkin on, but that's neither here nor there. It was fucking bonkers, but oh my god, Catherine of Aragon would not shut the fuck up about her warrior mother. If I were Margaret Beaufort and Catherine of Aragon wouldn't shut up like that in real life, I also would have been like, get rid of her, please. Just fuck off. You're really annoying now.
Where's that cute little Annie?
Oh, it's like, oh, she was a Nepo baby. Anyway, I think I have one more, but I couldn't confirm it.
Are there any of these shows that you actually enjoy?
So the funny thing is, I still kind of enjoyed them. And I was talking to Jeff about this. So the show's ridiculous. I don't love it. I'm probably not going to watch it again. But I was talking to Jeff about this. There is a new show that's going to be coming out soon, and it's do you know what Bridgerton is, Garrett?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Have you ever watched Bridgerton?
No, I just know it's the sexy sex show.
It is a sexy sex show. It takes place in the 1800s, and it's King George. No, wait, hold on. Early 1800s. So it's King George III and his wife Charlotte, and it's about the wealthy aristocratic people of England, dukes, duchesses, earls,
and they're all fictional people, right?
No, some of them. I think they throw names around in the background that actually existed.
But the main characters
are fake.
Okay.
But it like modernizes it. Kind of like what A Knight's Tale did. So they actually take modern music and they do it classically. And they have a very mixed cast. It's a lot of white people, but it also has
visualizing like them playing like Hollaback Girl like in the background on string instruments.
That's not that far off. They did have a Lady Gaga song.
Oh, okay.
So they have like the main dude, the main love interest from season 1 was a black man, and we know in real life there were no black dukes. And
oh yeah,
race
Paladin guy from Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So for some reason I really like that show, and they're gonna do one. All I've heard is it's going to be like Bridgerton-esque, but in the Tudor times. I'm actually looking forward to that. And I don't know why, because that's basically what Reign was, and I trashed Reign.
I feel like you can tell when certain shows like these are made of what's popular at the time.
Oh yeah.
So like when we were watching Spanish Princess, I remember we watched it for the first, like when we first started the podcast, and we were making fun of how it was trying sort of to be Game of Thronesy.
Princess, Spanish Princess.
Yeah, like this like really dramatic intro title, the look of it, the lighting, everything. Same as Reign was trying to capture in a lot of the like just the popular teeny kind of like the CW-esque kind of shows.
Yeah.
I can see this is them trying to just capitalize on the Bridgerton craze.
It is very much.
Which honestly,
late. Bridgerton was like 2 or 3 years ago, wasn't it?
No, it's still going on. The 3rd season is starting in like a week. Here's the thing though. I think what I don't mind about Bridgerton, one, I'm not like super fanatical about that time period. So if there's historical inaccuracies that are like painful, I'm not gonna like know it. But mostly it's that it's people who didn't exist, and it's just showing like the excessiveness of that society, and it's like a Knight's Tale. And I heard that the director of Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger and Alan Tudyk, he did a bunch of modern songs in it, and he said that the reason he put songs like We Will Rock You in the middle of a joust is because that's the equivalent of what their songs back in that time period was. So it was supposed to make you feel the same way that audience would have felt at that time. So I can buy some of that. I can allow for some of that. But I think that what bothers me so much about anything that tries to take the Tudors, like well-known historical figures who are incredibly well documented, and is like, hey, we're going to completely flip everything on its head. We're going to pretend all of this bullshit is happening that didn't really happen when, like, we know for a fact it didn't happen. Do it with Jane Seymour. She's not well documented. That's fine. But don't, like, go about pretending that Anne Boleyn... Look, we don't know a ton about her. We know a decent amount, but not a ton. But don't go around pretending that she had 4 children before she married Henry VIII, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's the point where why bother trying to make him like the show based off the actual real people and not do the Bridgerton route where you're like, okay, we're going to have fictional characters in that time period, and you'll do the same thing where like, we'll name drop Anne Boleyn in the background kind of thing, like, rather than make her be the main focus.
Yeah. If somebody's like, oh, my Aunt Anne Boleyn, I'd be like, okay, fine, whatever. I don't care. Like, I'm fine. Like, nobody really knows what happens to Mary Carey's children, so that's fine.
Do you know of any shows or movies that do the similar thing where it's a fictional characters in that time period? Because you've watched, there's a lot of like historical fiction stuff. Like I think what was like Poldark. Like that was a show where like it's fictional characters but in a certain time period. Because I feel like with the Tudors, there's so much information about Tudors and such important people that it's hard to not involve them in some way, I guess.
We do know a lot about the Tudors, but there are also really important people in the Tudor time who we don't know anything about. So one of our listeners, she sent me a copy of a book called Fool, and it's about Henry VIII's fool, Will Somers. And the whole intro is like, we don't know shit about him. Like, this is pieced together, very well researched as much as possible, but like there's still debate whether Will Somers, Henry VIII's fool, was I think they call it a natural fool, meaning that he had mental disabilities, or if he was like a fake fool. I can't remember what it's called, but like he was just impersonating somebody.
He was just doing an
for
act.
a laugh. Yeah.
Okay.
So if somebody did a show about Will Summers and was like, yeah, it's oh God, who's that comedian we love? John Mulaney.
It's John Mulaney.
It's John Mulaney in Henry VIII's time. I'd be like, whatever, we don't know shit about Will Summers anyway, so we may as well take that. And Bridgerton kind of does it too, because George III's wife, Queen Charlotte, George III lost his fucking mind. And his wife was like, not a ruler. She didn't do anything because she didn't have a reason to. Not that she didn't do anything. Sorry to Queen Charlotte. I'm sure she did really cool stuff. I don't know that time period. But they show her in the Bridgerton. So she was a real person. But they have characters around her acting differently. And she wasn't obviously a black woman.
Well, I think that could be like the idea you're saying when you watch Bridgerton, you're not as familiar with that time period historical wise to feel like you kind of notice the where it's like watching any movie like science fiction where like the people who know too much about the science of something are like that's not very accurate, but to a common person like, oh yeah, I'm at least entertained by it.
I'm looking at my movie history shelf to see if I have a more specific answer to Jeff's questions. I mean, I do enjoy most history movies because it usually starts me down a path to researching, so
it's fun to like get you thinking about something where it's not yes, this is the end all be all. This is not scholarly.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Here's what so in Wikipedia, if you have the Wikipedia app, you can actually have tabs open, and what happens is I'll usually find a tab or I'll be watching a movie.
The rabbit hole.
And I'll end up in a rabbit hole and I just open in different tabs. So I have 71 tabs open.
Oh my God.
And the thing is, I don't realize it because I closed the app, but that doesn't close all the tabs. So here's some of the shit on mine. Okay. The Disappearance of Susan Powell, true crime. The Wretched, a 2020 film by the Pierce brothers. Arsinoe IV, Queen of Egypt, Anne Frank, Hannibal, Hannibal the Carthaginian general, not Hannibal the cannibal. Charles II of England, Death of Elizabeth II, Ireland United Kingdom relations, Maria Carolina of Austria, Downton Abbey, Sonic the Hedgehog room, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Wait, what?
Downton Abbey and starring Sonic.
Hold on. Downton Abbey, Sonic the Hedgehog room, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Robert F. Kennedy's assassination conspiracy theories.
Sonic the Hedgehog killed JFK.
Sorry for that.
He was so fast, no one saw the bullet.
From my laugh, that last one was Robert F. Kennedy assassination conspiracy theories of Mice and Men, George de Morenchild, Jumanji, the 95 one, Wild Wild West, Robert Oppenheimer, Pompeii, like the actual Pompeii, Vasily Ignatenko, he was a guy who died in the Chernobyl disaster, the Monuments Men, The Exception, Wilhelm II, Pacific Rim, Arthur Plantagenet, the first Viscount Lisle, William Compton, Thomas More, William Brereton, Catherine Brandon, Duchess of Suffolk, Pilgrimage of Grace, Jane Fool, Henry Pole, Nicholas Udall, Ecclesiastical Appeals of 1532, John Fisher, Stephen Gardner, Richard Rich, Maleficent, Elizabeth Woodville,
remember that guy.
Edward of Westminster, Prince of Wales, Edward Plantagenet, Cecily of York, Junior, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Classic.
Margaret Pole, Countess of Salisbury, Evil Mayday, which is something new I learned, and it's because I end up in these rabbit holes. Burley Rectory, Eaters of the Dead.
Oh yeah, 13th Warrior.
Yeah, don't watch that movie. Read the book. Thomas Riccio, F. Lee Bailey, Kato Kaelin, Monica Lewinsky.
We didn't start the fire.
So that's why I love history. It's because I end up down these really bonkers rabbit holes. So.
Jeez.
Now I want everybody to go to their Wikipedia apps and share how many tabs they have open and like do a screenshot.
Or just your Wikipedia history would be kind of funny. Like, what's the last like 25 entries you?
This should be the next
into?
TikTok.
It's like those 5 levels. It's like the 5 levels of Kevin Bacon.
I am 100% gonna go do a TikTok video for our channel or for our account and do like this. So anyway, that's Culture Corner with Emily.
Oh my gosh.
Fun, right? I also have
a
correction to make from the last episode, and I've had this in my mind since the night we recorded. I was laying in bed, and I'm like, I'm a goddamn liar. And Jeff goes, what happened? I'm like, I said the wrong thing. In our last episode, I said Elizabeth I was alive at the same time as.
You guys ready for tonight's
Vlad
actual
the
episode?
Impaler. It was Ivan the
who are we
Ivan
talking
the
about today?
Terrible. She was alive
Tonight's
at the same time
episode
as.
is going to be about
Katherine Willoughby.
Common mistake.
She was actually requested.
Australian? Or Vlad
What?
the Poker. The Willoughby.
I like the folks.
Wallaby.
Wallaby.
Oh, my mistake.
All right, everybody say it in an Australian accent. Let's see how weird we can get.
Oh man. How quickly can I offend a lot of people?
Hold on, let me just impersonate something from Bluey. This episode is called Katherine Willoughby.
That's more keyword.
Do.
Garrett!
Jeff. Emily. Let's do a Bluey intro
Henry!
of Henry VIII's wives.
Oh my god. I would love that so much.
Look, I still don't think anything beats the Bob's Burgers kids, but
Yes.
okay. So we've got Katherine Willoughby, not Wallaby. All right. So Katherine Willoughby is a very interesting person. I'm surprised we actually didn't get to her in the first go around. Okay. So when Catherine of Aragon came, everybody's named Catherine. When Catherine of Aragon came over from Spain to England,
Wait, she's Spanish?
yes, you might call her the Spanish princess. So she came over from Spain and she had a retinue of servants. So people who did fucking everything for her. And she wasn't allowed to keep all of them. A lot of the English were like, send them back. They're all spies. But she kept, I don't even know how many, but there was one woman in particular, Maria de Salinas, and she was a very loyal woman. So this episode kind of talks about Maria de Salinas as well. Maria de Salinas is Katherine Willoughby's mother. So I'm really sorry. I wrote my notes like a month ago. So I'm going to pop around a little bit. So I'm sorry about all the backtracking. Hopefully you guys can keep track. And if you can't, just message me or fucking Google it yourself. All right. So Maria de Salinas. Maria de Salinas was Catherine of Aragon's best friend / servant. So she was born in 1490, which is around the time Henry VIII was born. I'm trying to give you guys timestamps.
I'm always obsessed with that part. I'm always trying to figure out mentally like where things are happening and take place.
Gotcha. My little brother, he just started listening to the podcast. Sorry, Matt. Don't hate me for all the Catholic jokes. He just started listening to it, and he said he's really reliant on those timestamps. He needs to know years attached to stuff. So, she was born around the time Henry VIII was. Or maybe Arthur. I don't fucking know. Before Henry VIII was anything. And she was a lady in waiting to Catherine of Aragon. So she came with Catherine from Spain. In 1511, she was named godmother to Mary Brandon. So do you guys remember Henry VIII's best friend, Charles Brandon?
Yeah,
yes.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Yes, Henry Cavill. He had a lot of wives, including Katherine Willoughby. But before Katherine Willoughby was born, Maria de Salinas was named godmother to Charles Brandon's daughter, Mary Brandon. So many Marys, so many Catherines. And then in 1516, she married William Baron Willoughby. Baron William Willoughby. I don't know how they do the Baron thing, actually. I don't know if it's William Baron of Willoughby or Baron William. I don't. He's a baron. His name is William Willoughby. So this was after Catherine of Aragon married Henry. This was actually the same year she had Mary, her daughter, Bloody Mary. Got it, guys?
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
3 years later, she had a daughter named Catherine. And this is our Catherine, the main event of today's episode. Now, in 1522, Henry VIII named a ship after her mother, Maria de Salinas. The ship's name was HMS Mary Willoughby. So apparently douches naming their yachts after the hot lady has always been a thing.
Gotta name a boat off for her. There you go. Bitches love that.
Want. That's my next anniversary gift, please.
You want me to get a yacht and name it after you?
I want a boat. So then in 1526, Lord Willoughby died. So Maria de Salinas' husband and Katherine Willoughby's father died. Okay? Now, there's a bunch of shit happening at this time. Hold on. Okay. This death of her father left Catherine as one of the greatest heiresses of her generation. So she was 11 or so, and she was wealthy as fuck. She was the sole inheritor. There were a few problems. There's and I don't know if this is still a thing, but at the time, when a woman or anybody really, no, sorry, backtrack. In England at the time, when anybody wrote a will or was granted a title, usually the title stuff, I believe, it is granted to or given to either heirs male or heirs general. So heirs male means just her sons. Heirs general meant sons and daughters. So I don't actually know what the will said about the lands being settled on heirs male versus heirs general, but Catherine's uncle, her father's brother, came out of the woodwork and said that Maria, her mother, was withholding documents that meant that he should inherit some of this land. So it was really annoying, a big problem. So it's not like they were destitute, but this wealthy 11-year-old is just out there potentially not as wealthy as one would think. So Henry VIII was like, I got this. He gave the wardship of Catherine, he got the wardship. So a wardship is like what Batman did to
Robin? Made him live with him in the mansion?
Robin was his ward. It's when you're an orphan and you have legal... It's almost like a foster parent, except not, because there's no parental ownership of it, which is good, because Henry VIII gave it to his friend Charles, who then married her.
Aw.
No.
It's like marrying your stray cat.
I would like you guys to know, so I actually thought about this. So we have a 5-year-old daughter, Evie. Garrett is one of our best friends. This would be the equivalent of Garrett marrying Evelyn.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
It gross. So Henry VIII became her warder, and then he gave it to his best friend Charles. So Brandon stepped in about the inheritance squabble by writing to our best friend Cardinal Wolsey. Wolsey then told the uncle to piss off. He's like, "Fuck off! You're not getting shit." As the guy was like, "Okay." So Catherine becomes a ward of Charles. So she's briefly betrothed to Charles' son. His name is also fucking Henry. And that's his son by his third wife, Mary Tudor, Henry VIII's sister. Got it? Got it. Then in 1532, so this was all before 1532. This was during the rise of Anne Boleyn. Right? And then in 1532, Maria, Catherine's mother, was fired. Catherine of Aragon was told to tell your ladies all to fuck off. They're not getting shit. You're nobody. You're a dowager princess. You're not a queen, so you don't get any of the ladies in waiting. Then in 1533, Mary Tudor died, Charles's wife, Henry's sister. And Catherine Willoughby served as chief mourner. So she would have been, let's see, she was born in 1519.
She was the chief mourner?
What?
Like
chief mourner, main crier.
You look like you're good at crying. Here, cry.
I think it's meant as like a position of honor. And I don't think spouses can hold it because every time I read about a chief mourner, it's always like a very close friend. It's never a spouse. So,
it's like the idea of hiring someone to just work at a graveyard, just like, yeah, this one's paid, just go sit by gravestones and start crying.
The wealthy would 100% do that. Let's make that a business.
All right, clock in. All right.
Oh my God.
Looks like I got to cry at a Tim's graveyard today. All right.
100%. Let's make that a thing. All right, guys, here's the deal. For $200 an hour, we will show up at your funerals and do what you need to be done. So, like, if you want us to cry, if nobody's going to cry at your funeral, we will show up and be the most devastated
Professional criers.
But if you need someone to step in and cause some drama, we also got you.
I'll jump in the damn hole.
You're not going without me. Okay.
All I can think of is Twin Peaks.
Jeff and I know.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
There's a scene where a character just jumps on top of the coffin as it's being lowered down, and he makes a whole scene.
Like one does.
What
was it I told you that we were going to do at your funeral?
At my funeral?
No, Jeff's funeral. We were up late and really tired the other night.
Just like really delirious talking
and
about.
We get wacky when we're tired.
We think we're hilarious when we're tired.
Bitch, I'm hilarious 24/7. All right, well, you can cut that. Not the hilarious 24/7. I still am. Anyway, Mary Tudor died and Catherine was chief mourner. So remember, she was born in 1519. So she would have been like 12, right? Like
she must have been really good at crying.
6 weeks later, this is what I wrote. Our favorite gossip girl of Henry VIII's court, Chapuis, wrote to the Emperor of Spain that Charles was going to wed Catherine. Here we go. Charles was 49. Catherine was 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Charles did it because he would have inherited everything that she had. So it was really just a common sense thing for him almost.
I just like the idea of like them at their wedding. They're like, the menu, sir, and a kid's place match for your wife.
And for your wife, we brought you some chicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggets with mac and cheese.
So with that marriage, he became the greatest magnate in Lincolnshire. Probably said that wrong.
Lincolnshire is like Worcestershire sauce.
It probably is. Let me ask my brother-in-law. Did we tell you guys that the Brit is now officially part of the family?
Yep, that was part of our updates.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're officially related to someone who's British.
Yeah,
by
they
law.
just got back from it. Oh yeah, I remember talking about beaver. How do you pronounce? I could ask Google, but it's more fun to piss him off. Lincolnshire.
I was talking to my sister, when she was visiting. So like my sister, born United States, Midwest. When she went there, I asked her, like, was it weird? Like, was he like his accent thicker and like that? And she said, honestly, I'm around him and his parents so much, I hear the accent that when I'm there, I don't hear anything.
Yeah.
They just sound normal to me.
Jeff and I do that when we watch like a lot of Doctor Who. We're like, do they have accents anymore?
Yeah, we stop hearing the accent. It's kind of a weird thing to have.
All right, well, we're waiting for a response from the Brit.
We'll get our pronunciation update soon.
Yes. So they got married in 1532. She was 14. And they had 2 sons. His first son was Henry, which I would like to remind you that he already had a son named Henry, who she was betrothed to. This was fine because the first Henry died the year before.
Just get a new Henry.
No, that same year. He died like earlier that year, and they're like, well, got another. There's no other Henrys. And then in 1537, they had Charles. Okay, so back to Maria de Salinas. She's a badass. In 1536, we all know the year of the Troubles, when Catherine of Aragon was dying. Maria de Salinas begged permission to visit. She asked Henry, she's like, please, she's my best friend. She's all alone. Please let me visit.
Was she not allowed to before?
No, because remember, they kicked her out. They said, you're not allowed to have any ladies in waiting. So Catherine was sent into exile. Catherine was alone. She had like maybe a handful of servants for everything.
Well, I get not having. I just like just not being allowed to even go see her too.
She wasn't allowed to see her daughter.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, she was dying, and she's like, please let me see Mary. And Henry's like, fuck off. Sorry. Sucks to suck. This is why it bothers me so fucking much that the Spanish princess made the women the villains in the show. Like, the men were fucking trash monsters. And it bothered me so much because, yes, women are perfectly capable of also being trash monsters. But it's historically documented what trash monsters they actually were. Oh, sorry. That happened a lot while I was watching the shows. I'd just get angry. Anyway, she wrote and was like, can I please visit? And they were like, no, sucks to suck. But she was like, with all due respect, fuck you. So she forced her way into Kimbolton Castle, which is where Catherine was, to be with her. And Catherine of Aragon, this is so sad. She died in her best friend's arms 2 days later.
Oh.
Yeah. My best friends already know that they're going to be here when I die.
That sounds really either like a threat or
a little bit of A, a little bit of B. And then Maria herself died 3 years later. So she died in 1539. Okay. Back to Katherine Willoughby. No more Maria. She was very cool, but back to Catherine. Now she's our sole focus. Did I tell you guys they named a boat after her? I did. Okay. So Katherine Willoughby was very high ranking at court. So if my understanding is correct, a duke and duchess is like just one level below the royal family in terms of royalty. So like Henry VIII, when he was a Prince of Wales, he was also the Duke of York. So very high ranking besides everybody but those actually within the royal family. Excuse me. When Anne of Cleves came to England, skip past a few beheadings and deadings. And then when Anne of Cleves came to England, Catherine and Charles were in charge of greeting her. And then when Henry and Catherine Howard went on Progress, they also hosted them. So they were still real tight with the king. Charles, besides that one fallout he had over marrying his sister secretly, he really remained in Henry's good graces the rest of his life. So Catherine did nothing really wrong to warrant having her head on the chopping block either. So besides Jane Seymour, Catherine knew all of Henry's queens. She had met them, engaged with them, and somehow, and she might have actually known Jane Seymour. We just don't know. So here's the really interesting thing. Although Maria de Salinas, her mother, was incredibly devoted to Catherine of Aragon and Catholicism, because you can't really have one without the other, Catherine herself was a reformer. So she became super, super tight with Catherine Parr, Henry's last wife. She apparently really I wish I'd been friends with Katherine Willoughby. She hated this guy named Bishop Gardiner. He was like the new Cromwell. Mm-hmm. After Cromwell lost his head. So after hosting a banquet, they played party games. Glad to know some things never die. They pulled out Werewolf and played a little bit of that.
Some Cards Against Humanity.
They played Cards Against Humanity.
Well, to them, that's just a Tuesday.
Right. So I don't fucking know who made up this game. But apparently there's one game where you just list who you hate. Like... I mean,
that's just shit talking.
That's what my two best friends and I do.
So listicles also existed back then.
They were the original BuzzFeed.
10 people I hate. Number 12 surprised you. Wait, you said 10. That's the surprise.
So, she named Gardner as the man she loved least. And then at one point she even named her dog Gardner because she thought it was fucking hilarious to give commands to someone named Gardner.
I made I had a cat named Troy, a dog named Troy, a goldfish named Troy. They're all older than me.
I love it. I think it's amazing. So she really fucking hated Gardiner. Then, past the shenanigans. In 1545, a year before Henry VIII, Charles died. So her husband, Catherine, was only 26. So here's the thing. Being a wealthy widow was the fucking tits. Like,
yeah,
you were legally controlled by men in your life until you became a widow. When you lived with your parents, your dad or older brother got to dictate everything you did, who you married, and everything. Then your husband did. You were their property. So becoming a widow, fucking boss. Like, if I lived back then, I would have tried to find the oldest man alive who had some money, married him, and then been like, all right, boy, why don't you, like, go for a hunt or whatever, and then just wait for him to croak.
So, like, who's Anne Nicole Smith?
Yes!
Yeah.
She had it.
Wow, what a pull.
Yeah. Really good one, Jeff.
I know random shit that's unimportant.
No, she loved him.
She did.
She wasn't in it for the money.
Okay, so here's where the really interesting thing happened with Katherine Willoughby. Do you guys remember, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, we talked about Catherine Parr and how at one point she was accused of having banned books, reformer books, not of Henry's religion. And she was almost arrested and almost lost her fucking head.
She had a copy of Da Vinci Code?
She did. So she was found with that copy. No, she wasn't. But that happened. Katherine Willoughby was actually there with her that day. And she also narrowly escaped arrest because all the ladies that were with her would have been arrested as well. So that was probably the most danger Katherine Willoughby was ever in. Except when Henry VIII was like, I could marry Katherine Willoughby. And she's like, please no. It's not. So, because at that time, there were a lot of rumors going around that Henry was going to get rid of Catherine Parr one way or the other and marry Katherine Willoughby. I don't know where those rumors came from. Katherine Willoughby was very annoyed by these rumors, as one would be. Those who tried to bring down Parr. I don't know why I wrote this. Those who tried to bring down Parr tried the same with her. I don't fucking know. Either way, everything worked out by Henry dying. So, all the women were safe. Henry VIII was dead.
And everyone lived happily ever after.
All right.
Going back to you saying being a wealthy widow, was there? I'm sure there was like some pressure to like marry and not just be seen as like a husbandless woman.
There may have been. Like if Henry VIII's sisters died. Well, really, it's being a wealthy widow, but also all the men around you dying. Really, that's when women are the safest.
In that case, how would it work? So you're widowed, but you had children. So say you had a son. Would the son be then in charge of everything? Wait. Update.
Update. Lincolnshire. Okay, I was right. Lincolnshire.
Lincolnshire. Okay.
I just told my brother-in-law. Oh, that actually makes sense. Okay, Lincolnshire.
Anyway, how does it work? So you had, say, a son, and then...
If the son was underage.
So...
That was actually the best. If you didn't have kids, you were probably going to be highly pressured. But if you did have kids and you were a peeress or one of the like earl's wives, right? Mm-hmm. Countess, whatever. Then the family of them wouldn't want you to marry because then the new husband would have control over the future earl or whatever.
Okay, so it would be a better situation to have a child
if you have a son.
Especially who's going to take over
the
heir.
So before I sent my wealthy old man into the woods, I'd try and get him to knock me up a little bit. Or I'd pay a witch to bring in a secret baby and be like, look what happened, miracle.
What? Don't worry, I have a baby guy.
Doesn't everybody? So yeah, being a widow was tight, but being a mothered widow. That's the important thing. Having a boy, especially.
Well, it's good to have that proof that you did love the person at some point.
What?
It's proof that you did actually love the person you married.
Made love-ish, whatever. He's just laid back.
He was half awake.
England. Now, I will say, if you have a daughter and no sons, then that's a problem, because then what's going to happen is what happened to Katherine Willoughby, where her wardship goes to not her mother, which would have made sense, but to Henry VIII and then Charles. So, caveat. Sorry. It's not really being a wealthy widow. I mean, that is tight. Like, it is good to be a wealthy widow. But mostly it's being a wealthy widow when all the men around you are dead. So.
Yeah.
Anyhow. Ready? Did I answer questions?
No.
Yeah.
All right. So, shortly after Henry VIII died, Catherine Parr married Thomas Seymour. Do you guys remember that? Secretly.
Mm-hmm.
It was a secret.
Secret.
Now, Catherine knew, and in fact, I wish she was my friend. In fact, Catherine named a stallion Seymour and a mare Parr, because she's not fucking subtle. Those are horses. Then Catherine Parr gave birth to a daughter, and she died. And then Seymour committed some light treason, and he was executed. Okay? So at that point, Catherine became a guardian of Catherine Parr's daughter. Apparently she couldn't afford her. I don't fucking know why. So she wrote to William Cecil and asked...
I can't afford this person.
I don't know why. I genuinely don't. But we do know that she wrote to William Cecil because she was left very wealthy. Mm-hmm. She wrote to William Cecil and asked for money. And then at some point, that little girl just kind of disappears from history. Like, we have no idea what really happened to Catherine Parr's daughter by Thomas Seymour.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
she may have gone. So she stopped living with Catherine Willoughby at some point, but we don't know where she went and what, she probably died young, and that's why we don't know more about her.
For a former queen, that's kind of crazy that, Henry's dead. Well, we don't have to record anything about you that much.
Jane Seymour was a former queen. We don't know shit about her, and that was the most beloved. So, not that weird.
Well,
women
Jane
are nothing
Seymour
but means to an end.
Passed away, in birth.
Yeah, but
I'm more talking about the fact that we don't have much knowledge, the post Henry stuff on her.
Yeah, I suppose.
You think they would have kept more documentation of what was going on with her and her family afterwards?
Not with the daughter. Well, mostly because Catherine Parr pissed people off by marrying Thomas Seymour. She did it so quickly. All of the children were like, "What the fuck, bro?"
That is kind of shocking
real
to hear.
Disrespectful.
The former queen remarried.
Thomas Seymour was not exactly. All right, quick reminder of Thomas Seymour. When he and Catherine got married, he was also lusting after Elizabeth, Henry's daughter, and playing really inappropriate games with her, and maybe trying to pressure her into getting married. Now that happened after Catherine Parr died, but he didn't care. He would do anything he could to get close to the throne. So
he just wanted to be a wealthy widow.
He did. Put on a wig. All right, very sad year. In 1551, both of her sons, Henry and Charles, they died within hours of each other of the sweating sickness. They were at college together, and almost within an hour, they both died. So very sad for her. However, she was able to move on, and she actually married for love. She had a gentleman usher. His name was Richard Bertie, and when she was 33, she married him. They actually had 2 children. So she was doing well for herself.
It's weird to think about how... So she's only 33 at this point. How much she's already gone through in her life.
Mm-hmm. It's nuts. It is absolutely nuts. Because she would have been close witness to the end of Catherine of Aragon, end of Catherine of Aragon onward. She is a fascinating... And then she lived through all the reigns. So, they had a daughter named Susan in 1554.
Whoa. A unique name.
Hey, they invented a new name.
Really weird. Just wait until you hear the son's name. All right, so then they invited this man named Hugh Latimer, who was a reformist, to preach at her home. And then Mary came to power. Edward died. Mary came to power, and Mary's like, excuse me, Catholics only. So she started prosecuting them, and Catherine and her husband and her daughter are left to live on the continent. Now, at this point, Catherine had like run out of money, or like all of it. Very likely, actually, here's maybe the answer to your question: why she couldn't afford to have Catherine Parr's daughter. Her son, I think, would have been old enough.
Oh, so he probably inherit.
Well, hold on. Let me see. When was he born? 1534. Yeah, so he might have been old enough to basically not necessarily inherit all of it, but because he was born in 34. So he would have been like 16, so...
Okay.
I don't... Yeah,
Would
maybe.
they consider of age? Because like we're used to like modern day where you're 18 is legally...
18.
So 18 back then. That's
yeah,
fascinating.
Henry VIII could have gotten married at 16, but he was not allowed to rule the kingdom until he was 18.
That's what I was just thinking. Like, here they're okay, like, her getting married at like 14 years old, but you're not an adult until you're 18.
Yeah, it's weird. So they absconded to the continent. They were like, fuck England, we're not safe right now. They lived a little destitute for a while, and then the King of Poland was like, here, could you just be the admins of Lithuania? Like, it's a lot. Could you guys just, like, be the bookkeepers, the project managers for this country, please and thanks. And then they had a son. You couldn't even begin to guess his name. Peregrine.
What?
Oh.
Peregrine.
So you had a hobbit child.
And he was born in 1555. Funnily enough, the same year Hugh Latimer, the guy who preached at her estate, was burned at the stake by Mary. Thankfully, the bloody times did not last long for her, because when Elizabeth I was crowned, they returned to England. Now, at this point, they weren't active in court, but they were still affected. At one point, we talked about Charles Brandon and Mary Tudor's grandchildren, the Grey sisters, and how they just kept marrying people that they shouldn't have married because they were in line for the royal throne, because they were related to Mary Tudor, Henry's sister, and they kept getting married without Elizabeth's permission. And so one of those granddaughters, who would have been her step-granddaughter, Lady Mary Grey, she married up below her station and without permission, so she was banished to live with Catherine in disgrace. So that's kind of the last you really hear about her. She did die in September of 1580, and she was 61 years old. And then her husband died 2 years later. So this woman lived through all of the Tudors with nary a mark.
So her husband were married for like 30 years at that point?
Yeah, they got married in... No. Sorry, no. Yeah.
Because he died... You said he only died a couple of years...
Yeah, so she married Richard Bertie in 1552, and then she died in 1580. So yeah, a little less than 30 years.
I'm just always fascinated when I see someone actually like last that long together, especially back then. Well, also
you and I are
life-wise.
headed for divorce, so.
Oh yeah, of course.
Right? Mostly it's that long ago, knowing a couple, and it's nice that they were able to marry for love, especially because of who she'd been initially married to. No, I don't think she and Charles had a bad marriage. It was just like a whatever marriage, this is fine.
Mm-hmm. It's nice to have a happy ending in these times.
Natural death, yes.
Especially for someone who went through everything she did.
She is the fly on the wall of history. Well,
it's kind of like how here, the last episode we talked about Richie Rich, who was just more like, he was just
the villain.
Always there and just a shitty person. And she was her, where she's always there and just managed to. Yeah,
she's like the antithesis of Richard Rich.
Yeah.
Jeff had a thing at work a month ago. I don't fucking know. And they were asked, I think the question was if you could have any magical power, what was it that was completely
if you
unique?
have a superpower that doesn't already exist, what would it be?
And I said I would open a window in time so that I could just witness history. I don't want to involve. I just want to watch it like a movie. Nobody needs to know I'm there. That's all I want. I don't need to step through time. Just let me watch. I'll keep my head. I'll stay in the present with my AC and cold water and lack of diphtheria. But I'd love to watch it. She got that. I mean, she probably had diphtheria once or twice, but she got that view. So she was a very interesting person. So that's the end. Good night. Bye.
Later.
Yoink. And
I'm just trying to think about what like historical things I'd want to see.
So much.
For me, I'm always just curious about how the people like really actually looked and dressed, like with.
Oh yeah.
It would have been a lot of witnessing like the average Joe for me, because that's never documented.
Yeah.
But I would 100% go back and watch shit in Henry VIII's court. That would be like
watch people fuck.
That'd be like Garrett turns into porn. Ew, history porn would be so gross. I don't need that.
You said you only get to see it. You don't have to smell it. So
No, I would 100% watch. I watch ER all the time. If I had this window into history, I would be replacing Noah Wyle with Henry VIII and Charles Brandon. That'd be fun. Mostly that, yeah. I mean, there's other shit I'd be interested in watching, like Marie Antoinette. Sorry, lady.
The thing is, I can see that being like a twist of like, you're also like a weird like, like a procedural show.
It's Law and Order, but history, and I'm just like watching it with popcorn.
Solving them.
I would 100% find out where. Oh my God, who's that guy who was killed by the mob? I would find out who D.B. Cooper was. Who was the guy who was killed by the mob and his body was never found?
Jimmy
Hoffa. That I would solve that crime. It's probably so boring. He probably fell off a ledge or like was on a walk in the woods and he met a bear in the woods. I'd have fun. God damn it, that sounds cool. A procedural show but with history shit. God damn it, that sounds so cool.
Coming this Thursday night at BC.
Oh, that sounds like a terrible show. I would watch the shit out of it for all 3 episodes. Anyway.
Henry's court.
Dun dun. No, it's just called Tudor. I hardly know her.
And we sell the name.
Yep.
We get rich on that. Then we're
Produced
good.
by Dick Wolf.
What? How is that not the most like ominous, like threatening name you've ever heard of? Dick Wolf. It's like, I do not want to fuck with that guy.
That sounds like such a fake ass name.
Like I just like the idea that his full name is Richard Wolf. He's either Rich Wolf or Dick Wolf.
I mean, we just talked about Richard Rich, so.
Yeah. Well, he's a rich wolf because, he made Law and Order.
He's doing well for himself.
Oh, yeah.
So that's that.
Cool. Well,
all right. Well, thank you very much.
Is there anything else you've been doing since we last recorded? Cause you did at least update that you've been watching all the shows. And then you're reading the book, The Fool, which you did get from one of our listeners.
I did. Thank you so much.
Anything else you're reading or doing right now at the moment?
I'm reading a book called The Duchess Countess, but that's not about the Tudors. That's about a really interesting woman from the late 1700s in England, and she was accused of bigamy. So I'm just reading about her, but I don't think I've got too much else going on besides just like researching episodes and memeing shit and finding jokes on history on TikTok. So, sorry to disappoint. If there's any movie you guys want me to cover, send me a rec and I will 100% watch it because Jeff usually dictates what movies we watch.
I have a lot of homework movies.
He listens to a couple of podcasts where they talk about movies and TV shows, so we generally watch those, and most of the time I watch with him. So like we've been listening. It's the number one is Blank Check. So if you guys really love movies, go listen to Blank Check. But we're watching we just finished watching all the John McTiernan movies, and he's the guy who did Die Hard and Thomas Crown Affair and Predator. Right. But he also did a bunch of really shit movies.
Rollerball.
Oh god.
Emily didn't watch it, but I had to give her a whole synopsis.
I've never seen him so excited to tell me everything that happened in a movie.
Such a bad movie.
So
is that Keanu?
No.
It was Chris
Rebecca
Klein.
Romijn.
Chris Klein, LL Cool J, and Rebecca Romijn.
Yep. It's
okay. Yeah,
it's fun. Like we watched all the Michael Mann movies, which I probably wouldn't have done otherwise, and we've seen some great movies that I never would have watched otherwise. So. If you, my lovely listeners, have a history movie, any history movie that you think I should watch and give feedback, please give it to me because, like I said, we're always doing the homework for Jeffrey's podcasts.
It's Emily's turn.
It's my turn to have a reason other than I would really like to watch Mary Queen of Scots for the 10th time. Anyway, so give me Rex. And we're always taking episode recommendations. And just shout out to us, guys. Love talking to you. I think that's it, right?
Yeah, so if you guys ever want to message us, find us. We have lots of new social media that are all set up now since we last recorded. So we have our classics. So we have Facebook and Twitter. You can find us. I think we're just tudorknowher at Twitter. But now we also have Instagram, TikTok, and we have YouTube. YouTube is just our episodes are just uploaded there. So at least an extra place to also listen to us. Mm-hmm. But yeah, on Instagram, usually we'll try to post pictures of anything that might be related to the episode. So I'm sure when this comes out, maybe I'll try to find some photos of any people we talked about. I always like doing that. Uh-oh.
Oh my god. Yep. Judy from Twitter, I fucking love you.
Oh god.
Oh my god. I have to repost this.
Ooh.
Hey Tudorknowher, just listened to a 2018 episode where you discussed your love of Spaceballs. I think my son got you beat. He's got a whole ass dark helmet costume. I fucking love it.
Oh my
I'm
God.
flipping shit.
Yeah, for those who don't know, we're recording this on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you.
That's right.
I've been watching Star Wars stuff like all day, so I've been doing my duty. But yeah, follow our different social medias, find us on there, send us messages if you have any questions. We love answering them for you guys. Any suggestions for us, like you got books, movies, shows, anything you want us to check out or watch, we'll be happy to do it because I like watching movies a lot. So it's fun watching history movies because I don't know enough about the histories to get distracted by inaccuracies as like Emily does.
And if there's a movie that we have to watch for homework, then I don't watch enough movies, so I should probably watch more movies.
Oh, actually,
yeah, give us some movie.
Actually, some of our listeners, I was live tweeting my experience watching the shows. So go follow us on Twitter because I will 100% do that with the movies. But we were told to check out. I was told to check out Anne Boleyn, 500 Years of Lies by Haley Nolan, and that was awesome. And then I also found a really cool website where they talk about fashion in like historical fashion, but I can't find it. I didn't save it, so I got to find it again. I'll reshare it with you guys because it's very cool. But they talk about a lot of Tudor stuff. So I'll leave you hanging, I guess, on what that site is. I will find it and share it. Anyway, we do check it.
Well, cool. Yeah, well, thanks a lot, Emily, for another one.
So until next time.
Divorce beheaded
died.
Divorce beheaded survived.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.